feel bad because you could definitely have been home by now. But
Oh no, no. Today's one of my later days anyway. I got shit
Is
to
it?
do. Yeah, oh yeah. I got errands to run and shit to do for my dad, so I wouldn't have been. It's
Hey
not,
guys,
it's not
I
a
just
thing.
want to,
Whoop, sorry.
that's all right, I just want to do this, and will y'all, so I can go ahead and start it?
yeah.
Yeah, and then just hit.
So I can make sure, and then just cut it when
You
y'all
got
are
it.
ready to go.
Absolutely. Coolio.
What a moment.
Yeah, you just.
Hello. We're
Mics
we're
are
talking
hot.
March Madness.
So our mics are hot.
Let me get the push out when I send the push, you can go.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're good.
Well, I don't know about that. You're good. I'm just here.
Hello, everyone. We're doing some March Madness conversation here. We all know in about a handful of minutes, okay, all the action's going to get going. First four happened yesterday, day before. Now we're getting ready for the games. Matt and Matt joining you here to talk a little bit about our picks. We opened up a bracket pool to everyone.
Right.
We have a fair number.
Folks involved?
You've made a couple brackets in your heydays, right?
Was that an age joke?
No.
No, that's right. Though.
No.
Actually, you know what? There was before all the digital was fun like this. We actually did a bracket. You have to check me on the year here. It was like 04, 05, 06, 07 kind of time frame.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that North Carolina had won in a while, right?
Okay.
And it was a big office pool here, and I was part of it. It was through like Yahoo back in the day, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we all part of it. I won. And it was at that point, it was all money to the winner. No first, second, third.
Yeah.
I won like $700. Bought myself a grill, baby.
Hey.
That thing died in like 5 years. But yeah, so done the brackets before. It just seems more complicated these days. This though makes it pretty easy.
A little bit of a touchscreen. I will say right off the top, Matt getting that $700. Okay, no prizes, no
That's not what this
awards,
is.
no string. You know,
That's not
there's
what
no
this is.
strings attached
No.
here. This is just bragging rights.
Right.
We're going to kind of pace it, follow each other along the way. When we get into the beginning of the week, we'll see if this runs for a little bit. Right, we're live streaming right now. We'll see
Yeah.
how much fun we have.
Yeah.
Okay, so touchscreen capabilities here. I think we're just kind of look and gather here. The number one team that a lot of people are talking about. They stumbled in a little
They
bit
sure
at the end
did.
of the SEC tournament.
did.
Auburn.
Okay. So what is it? They lost like 3 of the last 4 games.
They did. They fell to Tennessee in the semis of the SEC.
How do you okay? So how do you feel about that? Well, it's the body of work, and that's what the selection committee is looking at.
Right.
They saw what they saw over the course of so many games, over the course of the strongest conference in the country. 14 of 16
That's
teams
right.
getting in. Sorry about LSU and South Carolina. Well, now there's 13 left.
Well, yeah,
Texas
Texas
lost.
losing to
Texas
Xavier.
lost.
Great game, by the way.
That was, and you know, Xavier's got some ballers, and that was always going to be one of those. Texas, again, first 4 for a reason. But the strength of the conference, I think, allows Auburn to continue to be number 1 just because of who they lost to and where those teams that they lost to are sitting.
Yeah, and we'll probably be talking about a couple of them in
Probably.
just a second. 16 quad 1 wins for Auburn this year. The most that we've seen, no doubt about that. So we actually have them on the WAFB
Yeah, you
board.
do. Look at that.
making quite a run here. You never want to pick all the 1 seeds, but I kind of have a gut feeling this year might be a little different. We'll touch on that. Another fun team, Yale, being that last year, same spot, 13 versus 4.
Yeah.
Speaking of those Auburn Tigers, they're the ones that they upset.
Correct.
And Yale made themselves into the round of 32. I have a sneaky suspicion that the Ivy Leaguers could do it again.
Don't sleep on the Ivy, because they get in there and they're pissed. They're like they're like these big schools, these Power Fives.
Michigan.
Who cares? Big blue. We were blue before you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that'll be interesting to take it. The 13 and the 12-4, always those games.
That's
the
where those
12-6,
upsets happen,
always.
yeah.
12-6 you always kind of want to look at.
North Carolina was a first 4. Well, they looked pretty darn good shooting the ball from the outside. I think now we're talking SEC. They could be a team that could make some noise given that they made San Diego State look pretty weak in that first 4 game just a couple days ago.
North Carolina. North Carolina.
The team we just talked about that won it for you, a couple of years ago.
Carolina.
Yeah,
Should they even
making
be
a little
in there?
run. That's the question. I feel like they proved that they should not have been in there.
Well, they obviously they just won.
Yeah.
In dominant fashion.
Sure.
But should they even be in there? It's a fun little look, and who cares? At this point, it's a moot point because they're already in there.
Yeah.
They're in there now, and now the games are being played. I don't know. I'm interested to see what they're able to do against better competition.
Another North Carolina school that we'll go to the other side now. Now we're in the East. Okay, Duke's gotten a lot of steam. They the big knack on the ACC is that the schedule isn't really warranting of maybe like the seed that they deserve.
Is Cooper going to be playing? Is
Cooper, per ESPN, full steam ahead. That was a quote in the article this morning that I read. Full steam ahead, and they won the ACC without probably the number 1 pick in next year's NBA draft.
You're right.
So assuming that he's going to be good to go and all the assets around that, I don't see why the Blue Devils aren't going to be working them. Yeah, it's just that looks like it's down, but it's really just they're really going up.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. So you got 1 and 1 here.
Yeah, so let's get on to the other. Don't look here. We're going to get to that in a second. All right, now we're in the West, and I think it's no secret between Weekend Kickoff, where I'm from. Okay.
You saw the champion.
Oh, okay. Well, I was trying to. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, we're trying to show the matchup over here. Anyways, this is our first time doing this. We're learning. Okay. The Florida Gators is no secret being from Florida. Okay. They're a great team. Okay. They won the SEC. They beat Tennessee, who had beat Auburn, who was the number 1 before that. Regular season, I'm going to rip off some numbers for you here, but the Gators essentially on the road, you beat Auburn, you beat Alabama twice, okay, you beat Tennessee 2 of 3. Florida had one of the greater resumes and then continued it into the SEC tournament. As you mentioned, 14 teams of the 16 getting into the tournament. Yeah. This tournament, the big one, the real big one. Yeah. So the Gators are exciting. Walter Clayton Jr. being an All-American first teamer this year, okay? First time a Gator has done that, from what I understand, too, as well. So, and you look back at the years that they won the back-to-back national championships. So really, really exciting.
Fans definitely damn well remember those
years. So the Gators, we have them making a pretty good run. Some notable teams in here.
No, it wasn't a... You talk about that Florida Gator championship team.
Yeah.
That was that run through Indianapolis, that first one.
That was when I was like that tall. That's not a joke on Matt, but more so we might need to go back and make sure that was all,
that's
was all right.
Well, when the video's on like VHS, then that's a freaking problem. Anyway.
I do think it's worth pointing out, too, that UConn, the back-to-back champs that hadn't done that since Florida. So we're looking at a really cool possible matchup in the round of 32.
And nobody's given them any kind of chance. Now, we understand who they lost, everything they lost. I get that. But the minute you count out like back-to-back champs, the minute you get burned.
Yeah, so, Danny Hurley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who, of course, been there, done that. Everybody knows him as a player as well. So, that'll be interesting. You're right. That's an interesting matchup. If that works
Another
out.
team, we got 2 former Kentucky coaches that could go head-to-head in the round of 32. Obviously, they got to get by themselves here. I'm hearing that Omaha might be the most underrated and overlooked 15th seed there could be.
Really?
They win their conference. St. John's, no top 25 wins at all on the docket, on the schedule this year. They did win the Big East, so this could be one. I think we're being safe with a 2 pick here, but do not be surprised if your bracket's busted right away because Omaha decides to mess around and say we're going to go beat St. John's.
First time the Johnnies have won that in like 25, 30 years. The Big East, which and for those who follow the sport, the Big East was begun pretty much as primarily a dominant basketball conference. That's pretty much what it is right now. And so you have the Johnnies, the Red Storm coming out of there. To your point, I don't know because they don't play that gigantic schedule.
Right.
Are they going to be ready for this? Is Omaha just going to show up and say, we're not just about baseball?
We'll see. Other side of the bracket, a lot of SEC representation as we were talking about here, but the 1 seed in this particular case, not an SEC team. It's Houston out of the Big 12. Okay, they're a team that's really picked up some steam over the last couple of weeks.
I got a godmother who lives in Houston. She's all about the Cougs.
Ooh, okay. Jim Nance, right? CBS guy, right? He went to Houston.
Yep.
Not a whole lot sticking out here from what I understand. Obviously, you had Xavier winning last night in the first 4. We don't really have them going beyond that at this particular moment. This is where it gets exciting, though, because you have Kentucky and Tennessee, the SEC kind of bottom area here. And I do see a scenario where you could see, again, 2 top teams in the SEC face off again with a trip to go to the Final Four.
How many games you think in the NCAA tournament you're going to see SEC versus SEC? Simply because of how many made it now and how many matchups do you see in the second round? How many do you see potentially in the Sweet 16? How many survive to the 8?
Normally it's like 1 or 2. Now
it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun to follow.
It's going to be cool. Okay, but UCLA is an interesting team. I remember their coach had a press conference earlier this year, and he was saying he could not connect with the locker room, that it was so bad that he just almost wanted to give up. I couldn't believe it. I was like, are you really putting this out on the record? Yeah, and this is a UCLA team that had the Final Four a couple years ago, the year that Gonzaga actually won, the Zags, right?
Team that I was talking about. They were in that. They won it.
So UCLA now seem to have gotten it together, earning themselves a respectable 7 seed. That's a spot where a lot of people, some buddies of mine, see that UCLA could actually make some noise on their way up. But nonetheless, let's find where we actually have the Final Four. I believe it's right here. So as we mentioned there, is Texas Tech in the final? No, it's up here. Yeah. There it is.
There we go. Yes.
So championship game, again, we mentioned we kind of sneaked ahead that there's a lot of 1 seeds. It looks to be that SEC rematch over here. And then Tennessee kind of being that team that beat Auburn. Okay, they played tight with Florida for the first half in the SEC championship. And then, again, Duke looks real scary without their best guy. And now he's going to be playing.
They didn't need him in the ACC tournament.
So as much of SEC homers I think we can be living in this part of the country, had to have some sort of honesty and not make it SEC versus SEC.
So Duke going versus
against the Gators.
The Gators.
I'm certainly trying to be as unbiased, take yourself out of the situation. But what the Gators did this year was truly one of the better seasons they've had in program history under a second-year head coach. And every time you want to pick the best team all the time, it doesn't always work. I would say that was Auburn up until literally last week.
Playing the hot team.
Play the hot team.
You got to peak right at the right point, and this is it. That was fun. That's a good looking bracket.
We'll see.
That's not bad.
And again, we're gonna try to pace this thing and just see week after week going. And maybe Monday or Tuesday you might just see one of these live things pop up, and maybe we get different WAFB people on to join. Right? We had Ethan in the little commercial thing we did yesterday. Matt Williams, obviously former sports director back in his day, so he is very knowledgeable, very in on this stuff. So
look, while we're talking basketball, speaking about basketball, we would be remiss, and we need to have a baseball bat taken to our knees if we don't mention the women's bracket. Obviously, we've got LSU about ready to play, but we have winning last night Southern University, the Lady Jags, for the first time in program history. 7 trips to the NCAA tournament. They got their first win just last night, taking down UC San Diego, the Tritons, and it really was all Lady Jags. It was a very close kind of very low scoring game for the first few minutes, and then all blue and gold. The big win in the first 4, for those who don't know, obviously if you're watching this you probably do, it's the round before the first round. So the blue and gold win there, and they get to take on the blue and gold, actually. It's the number 1 overall seed, UCLA.
Yes, that's right. And
it's congratulations to Jaguar Nation. Incredible win. Regular season SWAC champs, tourney champs. Now the first ever program win in NCAA tournament, in their NCAA tournament history. They get to move on, hanging out in LA, taking on the Bruins.
We had a women's bracket up here a second ago, and I think that's where I'm trying to figure out how Oh, wait, maybe?
You know who still exists in it? Southern, and now LSU as well. And we need to mention as well, since we got you here, Southeastern, the Lady Lions.
That's right.
They are taking on, they're not in the NCAA bracket. They're in the Women's Basketball Invitational Tournament, which is the step below the NCAA tournament. And why wouldn't they be playing in the postseason? They had a crazy run. They lost 1 regular season game in the Southland Conference all year, and then lost actually a heartbreaker in the tournament championship game to punch their automatic bid. So they'll get it. Look at you.
Hey, I mean, how do you not go with the local team?
That's not bad. Okay, so you got South Carolina losing to Texas. Texas had their number for a minute.
Yeah, and
in the
Look,
Final
South
Four.
Carolina, it's almost like they kind of retook maybe, not that UConn ever lost its steam. We got them right here in the Final Four.
Yeah.
But it's almost like South Carolina was this new evolution. They went on like that 30-plus game winning streak over the course of like a season and a half, 2 years. But maybe this is Texas now stepping into the spotlight. That's what I'm kind of like predicting here. But
I think Paige Buckers is coming out here just really pissed at the world. They're like, oh, like super senior, all the injuries, everybody's just down on me, and just nobody can. How are we not? How are we not? I don't know. She may have a heck of a. The Final Four is absolutely in the realm of possibility.
And I also like, this is another cool feature that you can do. Look, it shows you all the stats as you make these brackets, right? It kind of keeps you in line. But I mean, goodness, 31 wins this year.
That's stupid.
Texas earning that 1 seed, no doubt
so
about
stupid.
that. I know we hot jumped over to the women here real quick, but anything in particular that might stand out?
Go all the way back up.
Okay.
There it is. UCLA and Southern.
You know what? Maybe just because this is, why don't we just do something like,
bust the bracket.
That could be a run, and then we can get a hometown battle, 16 versus 3.
Can you imagine?
That could be pretty fun.
Actually, I don't want to imagine that. I just thought it would just be apoplectic. That'd be crazy. But man, look. It's already been a great run through the regular season and the swag tourney for Southern. That first ever win in the NCAA. What a move. We'll see what they're able to do. They got them tomorrow night. They start tomorrow
And
night.
you got momentum. That's program momentum. Now we're in this NIL recruiting. I mean, this is that's poster board material.
It's fun.
Looking down the rest of the way, I mean, the Trojans way out west have had a good year. In this particular instance, it looks like we have the SEC falling just short there. But overall, no Caitlin Clark here, and that's why I think UConn in a rematch, remember, like 2 years ago, last year, was when they had I believe it was the Final Four in this matchup, and it was Iowa
Where's
winning.
Texas Tech.
Texas.
Isn't that Haley Van Lith? Former LSU Tiger, former Louisville Cardinal? Thank you. Thank you, TCU. Not Texas Tech, TCU.
There,
right there. You got them going to the 8.
Okay.
Right? You got them going to the 8? You got them going here? Oh!
Maybe this is the, hang on, if we scroll up all the way.
No, so you got them going.
It'll tell you right there. Okay, so that's the 16. I think we had them in the 16.
Okay, losing to, was it Texas?
Yes.
And so, that's probably about right.
That makes
a couple
some
of Texas
sense.
squads. TCU.
The Lady Vols here and a head-to-head in the SEC.
Yeah.
Okay, who's the real UT in the SEC? The ladies are about to duke it out maybe at that point in the Sweet 16.
Down. They will absolutely come after you for that one.
But
that's fun. There you go.
Nonetheless, we have these links for both the men's and women's brackets. Right now, we're going to have them in the comments as well as on our website, WAFB.com, the 9 News app as well. So you can join in. At this rate now, it has the timer. It'll tell you exactly, so we have it as accurate as possible. You got 23 hours for the women's. You got a little under 24 hours for the men. Drop that down to minutes. That's probably where you're
exactly
at.
Right.
So
definitely
a lot of fun. We're going to try to keep up with this as much as we can. And Matt Williams joining us today. Thank you so much.
And again, this is not for money, but if you win, Matt Venezia will buy you a grill.
Okay. All right. Might be going into the other Matt's wallet to make sure we get that.
That's not good. Just kidding.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with your brackets. Hopefully they don't get busted right away. We'll see you next time.
I was just gonna say, if you cut, it'll go to that slate.
Yeah, I did.
And then we can roll commercial and then stop
Right,
it.
so I just stopped it. But I'm like, is there a different one?
Like, hit cut.
Did it work?
But it would be standby for a live
Right,
event.
right, and that's fine.
Oh, okay. You don't mind? I got you.
And then
But then
cut
we-
your mic off, and then y'all can come over here and hit
And then hit
commercial stop.
Right.
Did you hit a commercial first?
No.
Because you really want to hit a commercial at
Absolutely.
the end of every stream and then hit stop.
Yep.
So really, that's usually the workflow I try to do. Just